There would never be another team like the 2015 Panthers. Who gives a fuck? They didn't win, so who cares? You feel me? Who gives a shit? I don't. Say nah.
Okay, so Carolina Panthers fans, how you doing? How's life? I'd imagine not great, but you know, let's go back to a simpler time. Forget about the David Tepper era, or even the Bryce Young highs and lows with Dave Canals for just a moment. And let's go back to when your quarterback was Superman himself, when your defense looked like it was unstoppable, when you had one of the greatest
That
linebackers
2015
of all
Kansas
time
season
in
was
his prime,
fucking insane.
and winning
Excuse
games
me.
wasn't just a surprise, it was expected. And you know what year I'm talking about. The wonderful season of 2015. Where you had it all. The culture of America itself was created by you. There was highlights from your team every single game that went viral, and it was just a one-of-a-kind season. And I don't think that there will ever be another team like the 2015 Carolina Panthers ever again. So without further ado, let's take a walk down memory lane and just, I promise, it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Let's do it. Now, when I say the 2015 Panthers came out of nowhere too, I am not being dramatic.
They just beat the fuck out of the
The
damn
year before, they
the
won
Seahawks
the
and shit,
division
bro.
with a 7-8-1 record, a losing record, and they made the playoffs, and including a 6-game losing streak too that had Ron Rivera almost.
That would never
fired.
happen now.
But they ended up going to the playoffs and beat the Cardinals in the worst playoff game of all time. But they had pieces, and people did believe in them to at least build upon what they did in 2014. They had Cam Newton, the former first overall pick, who
not gonna be fun.
was
Talking about
already amazing, but was looking to build upon that season as well, and Luke Kuechly, who was also, like, underratedly a top 5 player in the league and the best linebacker of the modern era. But that hype was put on hold when Kelvin Benjamin, their #1 wide receiver, tore his ACL before the season even began. So that was rough. And then even just a few days after that, Cam Newton fought Josh Norman in practice, and the video was all over the internet too, so the vibes weren't immaculate, and the media could not wait to just dunk on the Panthers, because that's what we love to do, huh? Don't we love to dunk on the Carolina Panthers, who are just the punching bag of the NFL since they basically joined the league, or at least one of the punching bags, but, you know, nobody really thought that they were going to be over 500. Sports Illustrated went one step further than even calling them a 500 team and claimed that they would come dead last in the NFC South. But the Panthers heard all the noise and blocked it all out, as they started out the season on fire, taking out Jacksonville and Houston in the first 2 weeks. And then in week 3, Cam dropped his first 300-yard performance of the season to destroy the Saints. And then when Tampa Bay took them on in week 4, they also got obliterated as the Panthers dropped 37 points and then went into their bye week with a 4-0 record and were considered a contender out of nowhere. And remember Josh Norman, who was just kind of like a, you know, obscure cornerback? Well, that guy who tried to take Cam Newton's head off became the face of the franchise and the shutdown corner in the NFL, and ended up making this Panthers defense feared, even while
NFL trivia.
The Panthers going 15-1 and
we can do
losing the
after
Super
this.
Bowl reminded me when the Eagles started 8-0 and lost to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl when the Chiefs came back in second half. Funny times, right? Smiley face emoji.
But nobody was really super convinced yet, and why should they be? I mean, this is similar to like the Colts of this season. If a team is undefeated and hasn't really played like another contender, then how can you really judge them? But luckily, the Panthers had a date with the Legion of Boom, and the Panthers were in trouble. They were down 23-14 in the fourth quarter, and everyone seemed to be proven right that the Panthers just aren't ready yet against a team like Seattle, who just came off of 2 straight Super Bowl appearances. But then, Cam Newton went from a great player who's been amazing this season to the potential MVP, and he led back-to-back touchdown drives to close out the game, come back, and steal a win with a 26-yard touchdown to his #1 option in the old tight end Greg Olsen. And just like that, the Panthers walked.
You gotta
out
have
of
a reliable
Seattle,
tight end,
a place
bro.
where almost
It's
no one
mandatory.
won during this era at 5-0. The defense bent but never broke, and Cam Newton was just demolishing people. That 5-0 record then quickly turned to 6-0 1 week later when the Philadelphia Eagles were easily thrown to the side. And then in week 8, the Indianapolis Colts, who were in peak Andrew Luck era, also were an amazing team, but were no match for the Panthers. And by no match, I mean they almost blew a fucking 20-point lead, but they won in overtime, okay? And they just kept going and going. It was at this point where Cam Newton had become a sensation because he was dabbing all over the place.
He was dabbing on them folks. He was dabbing.
He had his own TV show for some reason. But nobody could stop them. Everyone didn't like all the celebrations and the, various chest puffs, pelvic thrusts, arrogant struts, and in-your-face taunting, according to Tennessee Mom. So people were not having it, but nobody could stop them. That was the problem. No one could stop the Carolina Panthers.
This is probably the best time in Nate's life.
Win versus Washington, where they dropped 44 points, a season high, and just demolished them.
They need to go back to the Redskins, bro. This commander's name is ass.
This team was unquestionably the best in football, even over the reigning Super Bowl champion.
Which one is this? Move! What's this? This one seems better. We'll see.
New England Patriots, the Seattle Seahawks, the Denver Broncos, everyone picked the Panthers as not only the best team in the league and not only the Super Bowl favorites, but a team that had a real shot to go 16-0. But still, because this was the Panthers, people weren't going to give them all the props in the world because they came into a Thursday night Thanksgiving contest with the Cowboys as barely 1-point favorites, and they.
I'm all blue jerseys was so fire.
So, of course they did, and they continued.
Nigga Cam really had niggas rocking Under Armour. Them high top Jones too.
Easy. They played against the New Orleans Saints in Week 13 and escaped with a 3-point win. And then when they blew out the Atlanta Falcons 38-0 in Week 14, it seemed inevitable. All they had left was the Giants, the Falcons again, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I forgot it was divisional
opponents. Not
opponents.
have winning records. So the 16-0 season was more likely than not to occur. They had great.
I don't know if we'll ever see a undefeated season.
Cam Newton had
not counting the playoffs, talking about regular season. I don't think it's good to go undefeated in the regular season, honestly.
At 7.1, had almost 4,000 passing yards, 35 touchdowns, 10 picks.
Got 75K for your daily spin. What the fuck? Highest I got was 10K this year.
Occurred. The Atlanta Falcons
2022, 2K22, they're blessing me. I was getting like 100 KBC and shit.
Later, they were catching fire at the right time. In 2016, they'd go on to win the Super Bowl and then won 7 Super Bowls straight with the most clutch quarterback of all time, Matt Ryan. But they fell just short. And everyone has seen that clip of Julio Jones mossing Luke Kuechly, who, by the way, as a linebacker, was like 80 yards downfield on Julio Jones, but
he was there.
They fell just short.
It's just Julio.
The Falcons knocked them off from their undefeated season, but they did finish the year out 15-1 and were still the Super Bowl favorites to many. The amount of players on this team that were just absolutely
and niggas still think Jalen Hurts is better than Cam. Smiley face emoji. Fuck out of here.
Inside the NFL's top 100 list, with Newton, Kuechly, and Norman all being in the top 11. So the underdog label was gone. This team was favored to get the job done, but they would be tested in the playoffs because right away they faced off against the Legion of Boom Seahawks again. But
that was first round. Well, they had to buy, so I guess what second round, I guess.
Experience would be able to overcome this lack of experience from the Panthers, but they jumped on them right away. They went up 31-0.
Oh, but did they fry them niggas? Hey, 31-0 was crazy.
Champs,
I wouldn't lie.
Didn't even let them breathe. They did end up doing a little bit.
Nah, we gonna watch this full thing through, bitch ass nigga.
Seattle had 24
That's what you wanted, right?
But this was never really like a real game until later in it. But they
played the Cardinals too, right?
And an onside kick recovery secured the win, and the Panthers went to the NFC Championship game, where they would face the Arizona
the Cardinals made that shit. Who was their quarterback then?
A very good matchup because both these teams, I mean, again, could you imagine in the modern era if
Carson
the Cardinals
Palmer
and Panthers played in the NFC Championship game? I hope the fuck you can't, because this was a once in a generation game. But the Cardinals were not the team that they once were. They were amazing in the regular season, and sadly for them, this is their best team in franchise history. But even then, they lost.
But we're gonna do. I said we're gonna do after this video.
Carson Palmer even suffered an injury late in the regular season too, so they weren't the same team. Many thought that Palmer should have won the MVP over Newton, but he didn't prove
he was hooping like that.
As the Carolina Panthers went out there and also just jumped on them right away. As Palmer had
stop,
two
Geeez, I'm begging.
4 interceptions in the day,
bitch.
including a second pick six of the postseason for Luke Kuechly. Really missed that guy. The Panthers
a great guy right there.
49 points.
Good golly.
Ever scored by an NFC champion, and the Cardinals were cooked. And
To the Eagles.
Carolina's outrageous league-leading offense and a defense
dropped 55 on them fuck niggas.
For basically fun, it was hard to see anything other than a Super Bowl victory for the Panthers. Again, culturally,
So they ran in
this
a
team
fucking...
was massive. Everyone
What's his
in
name?
the
Von
world
Miller.
knew how
Von Miller
fun
was
this
fucking wrecking
Panthers team
havoc.
was, how
Hey, letting a
dominant they were.
defensive
And
nigga
versus
win
the Denver Broncos,
Super Bowl
with a team led
MVP?
by Peyton Manning,
Come on,
who
bro.
could barely throw more than 6 yards and had only managed 9 touchdowns and 17 picks in 10 games in the regular season, including the worst game a quarterback has ever played. It seemed inevitable. The time had come, as the Panthers were 5.5-point favorites, and it seemed like destiny for them to win the Super Bowl. Cam Newton was the league MVP and potentially the new face of the NFL after Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Josh Norman had become the best cornerback in the league out of nowhere. Thomas Davis and Luke Kuechly were the best linebacker
Nick
core
Bolton
in
should
the
have been
league.
Super
Thomas
MVP
Davis was
when
even
y'all
playing
lost.
in the Super Bowl on a broken arm. And
Give me one
this
play,
would be the
bro.
game
Get off that nigga
where the
dick. He don't know
torch
you,
was
bro.
passed. However, that wouldn't happen. Von Miller is unfortunately very, very good at football, and as a Raiders fan, I can say that proudly. God, he was so good. And he just decided that the Broncos were not going to lose this game. As
And
right away,
that play
his
didn't
presence
even
was
really,
felt.
I won't say it didn't
Running
change the
off
game,
edge
but we
on
were
an
still up
injured backup
10 points going into
tackle to
halftime, even
strip
after
Cam
that
Newton
play.
and send the ball into the end zone. Denver fell on it, and it was a touchdown. And just like that, the momentum was shifted. Now, to be fair, the Panthers defense did a great job. They
Yeah,
held
for
Peyton
sure.
Manning, the Broncos offense, to just
But
two
Peyton Manning
field goals
didn't
in
have
the
a
first
fucking
half.
arm.
And in particular, defensive lineman Coney Ealy turned into prime Lawrence Taylor for the day, getting 3 sacks, an interception, and a fumble recovery. So literally one of the best defensive Super Bowl performances ever that nobody remembers, because the Panthers fell short. Because the Denver Broncos defense, one of the greatest defenses of all time, unfortunately, also played well. The Panthers' ground game disappeared, and Cam Newton became human. He completed just 18 of his 41 pass attempts for 0 touchdowns and 1 interception. And the film is a lot worse too, because sadly, Cam Newton had his career-defining play in this game. And it occurred when he was stripped, the ball was on the ground, and he didn't jump on the ball. The Broncos recovered.
And how'd that make you feel, Nate? Should I replay it? Let's replay it. How does it make you feel, Nate?
Jump on the
Not
ball.
seeing your man jump on a fucking ball
Recovered.
in the biggest game of his fucking life.
Go on to win the
How does
Super
that
Bowl.
feel?
And
Bitch ass nigga.
the stench of this loss lingered after the game because Cam Newton did not want to talk to reporters, and understandably so. This was the worst loss of his career and the worst loss in Panthers history. That whole magical season was over in one game. They lost to a terrible fucking quarterback this season.
No
They were
bullshit
just on
though.
the wrong side of destiny. Peyton Manning walked off into the sunset with one more piece of fine china, and Carolina regressed horribly. After that winning season, they fell off a cliff. They
And niggas
never
sold they
even
sold
came
for that
close
damn
to
bull
such
and
glory,
lost.
and may never ever again. But Panthers fans, for one season, you had one of the greatest and most fun years in NFL history. I remember this season so vividly. It was so fun to tune into Panthers football every week. And for those of you new football fans, imagine this team was like
He's sick of this video, hurry up. It's over, bro. I ain't gonna lie. He ain't talking about nothing else for real, for real. Shout out to Nate for requesting that video. I was thinking about watching it, but I was like, nah, I ain't gonna watch that bitch. Watch this. We about to play Kahoot, nigga. Bro, this don't phase me no more, nigga. We just won a bowl. That shit will never phase me anymore, my nigga. We just won a bowl and my man's got Super Bowl MVP. Where the fuck, what Cam Newton got other than the MVP trophy? Which is great season, shout out to Cam. You feel me? Y'all niggas, the Panthers community is still up in fucking poverty, bitch. You niggas suck. This y'all first positive record in like 10 years, my nigga.